Welcome to Vermont Artists and Authors, where we interview great storytellers and artists from the amazing Green Mountain State. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the internationally acclaimed and highly talented Vermont author and illustrator, Marcie Vallette.
Marcie.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just got off the phone with my friend who lives in the Boston area, and I've known her since almost childhood. She gave my Parkinson's book to a friend of hers whose husband was just diagnosed. And she had purchased this book and gave it as a gift to her friend whose husband was just diagnosed. And this friend keeps it under her bed, hidden from her husband, and refers to it every day. And that was a really great compliment to get.
Right.
And she could relate to a lot of what was going on in the book. So my book is fulfilling its purpose to at least some people.
Right. And so remind people, so you put this book out, you illustrated it and wrote it, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I started in 2018 and finished it in November. I started summer 2018, finished it in November of 2024. So it's been a long time. And I worked on it on and off as I could. Oh, I started it when my husband actually was enrolled into a nursing home in 2018. He had had Parkinson's since 2007, I believe. And we went through a really, really rough time. One thing I want to make sure I say and get out of the way is that Parkinson's disease is different for everyone. Not everyone is going to get the same symptoms. My husband my husband never had tremors, which is people think that everyone gets tremors, but they don't. But he did have a lot of bradykinesia, which means he couldn't move much, and dyskinesias. And it was a really wild ride. It was a totally wild ride, hence my cover with the roller coaster. And anyway, so that's when I started the book. I came home after dropping him off at the nursing home. Of course, I was crying, but, you do. And then the house was quiet, or my apartment was quiet. And I realized I had just been through something huge, and I needed to do something about it for myself. So that was the beginning of it.
Would this be considered like a graphic medicine book?
Yeah, it would be. It's a graphic memoir of my time with my husband who had Parkinson's.
Okay.
It's a graphic memoir, and it is a graphic medicine because I do have educational pages in here about what is Parkinson's, what part of the brain is affected, what are the current medications given, and there's a lot of changes going on. Anyway, like, for example, here's a page when he had, hope I'm not jumping ahead too much. Here's a page for when he had brain surgery and what they did. It is graphic medicine. And I also put in, and I wanted to make it fun, so I put in, sounds odd, but that was my goal. I'm like, I don't want another, sad book about Parkinson's. I kind of wanted to make it fun. I mean, here we are jumping into a toilet together. Just like, oh, my life is going down the toilet, that kind of thing. And I put crossword puzzles in it, and word finders and games. I have games in here. And if you do the games, you will learn new vocabulary. That's guaranteed. So this is for people who are taking care of somebody with Parkinson's disease.
Right. And as you say, you actually call it that it is a book for caregivers. What did you learn about yourself? Was this also, putting this book together, was this also something where you was also kind of a form of therapy for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was. I wanted to, I knew that I needed to do something for myself to mark the end of an era in my life. This was, but then again, he kept getting kicked out of nursing homes and having to come back, but that's another story. But this was the end of an era, and a lot happened in that era, and I needed to to put it all together, and it was therapeutic. Yeah, absolutely. I needed to draw something that spoke to me. I needed to do something. I wanted to make a book that I wished that I had while I was going through this.
Right.
Because there are other caregiver books out there. There's some caregiver stuff, not a lot. But mine is the only cartoon book or a graphic novel, and it's the only one that attempts humor. And it's also like, I'm very, very honest. I don't think I was a perfect caregiver by any stretch. I didn't do everything right. And I wanted to put all that in there because there's other stuff out there where, of course you do this and you do that. I made mistakes, but and I put them in there. So that kind of happened.
Right. Now, so how did the process work? As you say, it's that you actually had an editor also to help you through through getting the book done.
So one of the important things that I want to mention, and it does have to do with the editor, is that I have a Buddhist practice. I practice meditation. And I will just say this to any caregiver out there. I don't care what your practice is, have something, have prayer or meditation or some kind of yoga, whatever it is, where you can let go of all the discursive thinking and give yourself a break. So the person who was the editor was Patsy McCarter, and she is a comrade of mine. I met her on the internet. She's also Buddhist, does the same practice I do. She did a lot of going over the book and proofreading and editing, and she was really helpful. The other person that I had was Robert Brunel, who you know.
Yeah.
I think he's been on your show. And I remember I approached Robert and I said, Robert, I want to do like a graphic novel, sort of comic book about being a caregiver. Now, I think everybody kind of knows he's a caregiver too. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. So I felt like we would understand each other. And I said, I want to make it not so heavy, and I want to make it parts of it funny. So we bounced around ideas, and I still do it to this day in my last book. I'll just see him and go, Robert, how can I make this idea funny? And he's just really, really witty and sharp about making stuff funny. Right. So he's on the front, and Patsy McCarter's name is on the front. And he's my my humor consultant. So, and both of them did this for free, right, which was really kind, because by the time I got Alan into the nursing home, I don't want to get too, I don't know how much to say here, but I had no money. I had no spare money left. Our insurance system didn't really cover everything. He had surgeries and ER visits and ambulance rides and lockdown units. There was a lot going on. So they both did it for free, which was wonderful.
Now, because you also have a nursing background, correct?
Yeah, when Alan was diagnosed in 2008, I had been a graphic designer for 17 years, and I was really sort of bored with it, and it's the same thing over and over. I didn't like it anymore, and I wanted to do something else. And I had been a nurse aide when I was like a teenager into my young adults, and I thought, and Alan seemed happy with nursing, and we would have nurses over to our house, and they all seemed happy. And I thought, well, I'll go to nursing school. So I found a 1-year program at Vermont Technical College and did the 1-year LPN program. I never did the RN, I just did the LPN. And so then I was a nursing home nurse for 13 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that experience working in the medical field help you get this book together?
I don't know. So in nursing school, I was thinking back on it. We had one afternoon that covered Parkinson's disease. And not many people know about Parkinson's disease, including people in the medical field. I mean, we were told it's a movement disorder. It is so much more than that because it affects parts of the brain that affect, say, motivation and dopamine hits and things like that. So the good thing about being a nurse was that when I did read the literature, I more or less understood it. I had taken anatomy and physiology. I knew basic brain functions. In terms of caring for people in the nursing home, there was plenty of Parkinson's patients for me to care for. I feel like studying nursing was helpful, but having Alan, who's my husband, I feel like I was better able to understand people with Parkinson's.
Now, why did you choose the comic format to convey your experiences then?
It's been a secret. Well, I was a fine artist for many years, serious painting. And it's always been like a secret wish. Like, I look at Robert's stuff and I think it's wonderful. I look at the comic, and I always loved comics when I was little. I've always been enamored of comic book artists too, as well. And I thought, well, now is my time. I want to do a book on Parkinson's, and I don't want to do like a classic memoir. I want to do a graphic memoir. So I chose the comic book format, or the graphic novel format. My very first comic that I ever did, that I tried my hand at, was this one. I don't know if you've seen that one. This is the story of a young man. It's a guy I know named Mark Laxer, and he joined a cult when he was about 17 years old, and he got out of the cult and he wrote a book about it, and then he wanted to work with me, and I agreed to, and it was a wonderful experience to do it in graphic novel, sort of comic book form, what his experience as a teenager was. So that was my first foray into this whole thing, and I had no idea. And I remember talking to him going, I've never done this before, we're friends, we'll play it by ear, and it worked out. So then I thought, I want to do this book, and I had no idea that it was going to be 140 pages.
And you also wrote a book called Exit Interview.
I did write Exit Interview. Yeah, I have it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. And this, so basically, during the time that Alan was diagnosed, I had a number of friends, because I'm of a certain age, and if you're there, you'll know what I mean. People start getting cancer, or people start getting sick. And I felt like I think I counted 4 friends who had cancer at a certain time. And people were getting scared. And my friend Barbara, who had cancer, decided to start a death cafe. And she asked me to be one of, help her found the death cafe. So I did, in Johnson. So that was a discussion group to bring the discussion of death and dying, to make it less of a taboo, to make it something that it's okay to talk about. It's something we're all going to do. And that's just kind of the same thing with my Parkinson's book. Getting sick is something that really does happen. And it's a really good idea to be able to talk about it. So the Exit Interview came about because I was doing my advanced directives with Alan. We sat down and did them. And I'd also helped another friend, Julianne, during her time of death. She did the Vermont Act 39. And I was helping people in the nursing home, and I was helping family members cope with the dying of their people. And I know there's other books like this out there. There's nothing quite like it, though. I noticed that certain questions hadn't been asked, that people were trying to cope without having information that would have made things a lot easier. In particular, what are the loose ends you want to clean up? Who do you want to talk to? Can I facilitate you making a phone call, to say goodbye? That kind of thing. What were your hobbies? What music do you like? Do you want to have music? That kind of thing. So this page is full of questions, and I've also put in a little chapter on which isn't questions, which is just current practices that are fairly new. For one thing, psychedelics. I'm kind of liking the idea because there is an anxiety that goes along with death, and supposedly certain psychedelics can help you lose your death anxiety, or you see that like this big picture and how we're all involved in this grand thing, and death is a small part of life. It is part of it, but it's the small part. Anyway, there's a lot of information in here as well. I do not put links to websites in my books because the websites change locations pretty often, and the laws change, as we know. Medicaid laws are changing all the time. Laws about death and dying, green burials, that kind of thing. And that is something that you could look up for yourself on the internet, or get a death doula.
Right.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us.
And so how do you hope with all three of these graphic books that you've put out kind of have a similar theme to it?
Yes. And, I brought all three of them to the I go to book fairs occasionally. That's where I saw you. And some people come to my tables and go, ew. Oh, that's no fun. And I'm like, oh, come on. It is fun. I did put little cartoons in my death and dying book too. And how does it all fit together? I think that for whatever reason, those darker aspects of life have been coming at me for a few years, that with my husband being sick, with my friends dying, talking to people about important things that they've gone through. And these are things that we tend to look away from. And you do have a choice with everything that happens. You can look away and pretend it's not there, or you can look at it. In my meditation practice, we are taught, which is Vipassana, we are taught to take what is in front of us and go, I accept what is happening. And you can look at it. So I felt like I really needed to look with my art at what was happening within my life. And I don't feel like it's dark or sinister what I'm doing. I feel like I'm trying in my own way to shed light on something that we all face sooner or later.
Right. And so how do you hope that your books kind of contribute to the broader conversations about caregiving and end of life care?
I would love to see these books read by nurses and doctors. And I brought the funniest thing was that I carried the books with me in my car, and I went to the eye doctor 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, oh, anyway, and I was telling them about it, and I sold 3 books. They're like, yeah, bring it on. I think it's wonderful.
Right.
And how I just hope to open a door. a door to conversation. And I've had people who have read my book call me up during their reading of it, and say thank you so much. And I'm going to call you back in 2 days when I get to this page. And, so it's doing its job. I'd like to get the word out more, but, whatever. That will take time.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any upcoming projects or topics that you're planning on exploring next now?
Let's see. Yeah. Well, I have a couple. I always have idea. I'm an idea person, which probably makes me less than a great visual artist because I don't get into that. I mean, I do, but this is my cat a narcissist book. So I'm sort of addressing the subject of kitty cats. Well, narcissism is a really popular topic on the internet, and we've all dealt with people who are. So this is like a cartoon book on cats having narcissistic traits. And it's a really fun book. And it has Mr. Mouse, who's sort of like, in the background, you have your witness making little comments and stuff, and here's the cat's going to be insulting you and telling you have bad hair and not liking the gifts, and the cat's going to be knocking everything over. I don't know if you see all of this. The cat is going to bring you really weird gifts. And so this is coming out on, and I hope this helps too. I mean, I really do. Maybe it will. I don't know. Oh, these are my flying monkeys. You might like them. So, yeah. August 8th is when I'm scheduled to release it, and I haven't quite figured out the cover design yet, and okay. I may change a few things, but it's pretty much almost done. And the other book I have all these ideas for books. Do you want to hear another one?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So during Alan's time, when he was really feeling like he was going downhill, he looked at me one day and he was sad. I mean, he was depressed, and he goes, "Marcie," he goes, I'm an odd Bob. I'm no longer normal. I'm an odd Bob." And I go, "Oh, Alan, but you're my odd Bob." So I made all these little comics. I can only find one, and it's The Adventures of Odd Bob, and and Odd Bob. And there's always some kind of like cosmic big question in there while he faces imminent demise or something. So this one is that he went diving, and there's all these sharks. And then he's contemplating predestination versus free will. I mean, it's just really. So I made a few of them, and they might be a book one day.
So Marcie, if people want to learn more about you and your work, where is the best place they could go to?
So my website, should I write it down or well, yeah. It's www.vallette.net, VALLETTE. Mm-hmm. .net. So go here, and there are links to all of this stuff, except for the Narcissist book and the Odd Bob, because they're not born yet. But I gave Exit Interview, that's the press room, its own website, because I distribute. I mean, the questions are free online, too, because I feel that strongly that people should be talking to their loved ones.
Okay.
I feel strongly enough to give it away for free, but having it all in one place in a book is very handy.
Right. Okay. Good. So yeah, this is exciting then. So Marcie, you'll have to come back on when you get your next book coming out then.
I would love to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thanks a lot. This was fun. And I get to talk, right?